Hey guys, this is Dan at CSS, and we're going to do a quick video going over a couple tips and tricks about how to solder up our crossover.
Alright, so the first thing I like to do is to start off with all the light components, just because that way you're not wielding around a giant 3.0 millihenry inductor while you're doing the rest of this. So we just put in the resistors first, then the capacitors, and then we'll move on to some of the trickier stuff. So we'll start with our 6.2 microfarad capacitor. Straighten out the leads, bend them down, and install it where it goes, and then put on a quick zip tie. On the back, I like to bend the leads towards where the other letter is. So I see it's coming out of a C, there's another C here. Scan the board. If there's another C, it might make sense to go somewhere else, but for now we just have these two C's. Here's a B, I've got a B here and a B here. I'm sorry, a B here. And so I'm just going to send it down that way somewhere, just to get them flat so I can manage the zip tie. Then we do the same with the resistors. We have one 2 ohm, two 6 ohms. So this is a 6 ohm. D to D. We put these little ridges here to kind of prevent the A, which is close, and the E, which is close, from touching. So we're going to come straight down, and then we're going to aim this other D over here when it comes out. So I've got an A here and an A here. That's good enough for now. The resistors are light enough that you don't need a zip tie with them. And now we're on to the inductors. Now the inductors are where it gets a little bit tricky, because you want to be careful of this very thin red insulation. You can only solder on the tinned part, and you want to make sure that the red insulation part does not get pinched anywhere. So if we were to put this in the crossover board just like this, you can see that there's a little lip here, and this would be bent and pinched up against it. So what I'm going to do is bring this up through the center and over down the top. So now both of the leads are safe and secure from being pinched. See, we've got the inductor wires that are not pinched anywhere. This insulation does a very good job where the wire is wrapped around and there's no force on it. But anywhere that you're going to be pulling the zip tie very tight, you want to make sure that there's no stray wire being pinched against itself. So in both these cases, we've got very safe wires. So one of the most important things we need to concern ourselves with here is we need strong mechanical connections between the leads. And these are nice fat leads. This isn't like soldering up a PCB. You can get them well twisted together, and you can apply some good heat to them to get the solder joint to stick good. So if we take a look down here, the example here is these two C's. We would not want to just touch them and then solder them. We're going to want to get them together. We're going to want them a good twist. So the electrical connection will be sound before we even attempt to solder. After we solder, we can snip these off, and this is going to be a fantastic mechanical connection, which makes a great electrical connection. So if the leads are not long enough, as they are here with C to C, and you need to go E to E, we've provided this red jumper wire, several feet of it, and what we're going to do is just make a connection here with this wire. Just gauge it by about how long it is. We'll trim the ends off. And I like to get some pliers and make a little hook on each end. I'm going to come here and make a little hook on each of these. And hopefully I've made it the right length. And it's substantially too long, but that's okay because we can just bring it right up. see we've got a nice good mechanical connection on both these. The electrical signal would pass without even soldering here, but we're definitely going to solder it just to make sure it's a sound connection and that it won't move.
So one of the problems that we see a lot is bad solder joints, also known as cold solder joints. And there's a pretty specific way you can avoid that, and it's relatively easy, so we're going to show you that now.
So I'm going to attempt to show you a bad solder joint, and a bad solder joint is one where you do not heat up the wires, and you kind of get it close, and then you start to melt solder onto your soldering iron, and at some point you'll get so much on there that it'll drip off, and you'll think it's done because it gets on your workpiece. And if you can see that glob right there, that is not a good solder joint. So when you get a good solder joint, you'll notice that the solder starts to run, and even that glob that I have there will start to move on its own when I get everything in here hot enough. And you see that I'm just laying this iron right on here. Again, these are not delicate parts. They're very high gauge. Sometimes you can put a little solder on just to help the conduction. And until it starts to flow all along the joint, it is not ready. So now you see it float along there, but it's not here yet. So we're going to bring this over here a little bit, apply more solder. Now you can see it's starting to flow over on this side. It's moving along the piece, and that is a good solder joint.
One thing I have not mentioned at this point is that the inductor leads have red insulation on them all the way up, and then at the very end there's the silver portion, which is the tinned lead. And that's the only part that you can solder to. Anywhere else will not make an electrical connection. So we've got the crossover board finished, it's all soldered up, we've got the jumpers going everywhere they need to go, and we've got a few more points that we want to talk to you about that will just help you not have any issues before you install this crossover board. So if we take a look down here,
One of the things that we want to say is anywhere there's the exposed wires, they need to not be able to touch anything else exposed. That seems like it should go without saying, but if you're not careful, you can have something that moves. This moves a little bit, but is not going to be able to move over here. So we should be good there. You can go around and kind of push and pull a little bit on all your leads and see. So this moves substantially, but we've got insulation, 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 insulation. This should be good. You want to look out for these pokies where the solder has strengthened the stray copper wires. If this can go up there, there's a possibility that that could poke through, but we're going to lay it like this when we install the crossover, and it should not move, you know, this 3/4 of an inch here. There may be some situations where you're close, like this could potentially move, so I'm going to actually come in here and trim this off. And now we're nowhere near it again. One other thing to pay attention to is a frequently problem that we have is all the G's are not connected. This is our 1TDX superior crossover board, but we try to make G the ground on all of our boards. It doesn't always happen, but that's what we try to do. We've got a G here, 2 G's here, 2 here, and 2 here, and you can see they're all connected somehow, some way. A lot of times someone will forget this wire, and you'll have 2 groups of ground wires that are not connected. So I think that is all that we are going over here. Then when you install the board, you're going to flip it over and just make sure that you're not pushing any of these wires sideways underneath. It's not grabbing on anything, so it could adjust where these lay. And screw it down in the 4 corners, and you should be good to go.